The 23-24 NBA season is still underway, with playoff action gearing up for second-round competition between the best 8 teams this year and Final Four in their conference. There's already been lots of action, a few surprises, and some disappointments, like Zion Williamson getting hurt in the final game of the season and not being able to help his Pelicans avoid being swept. The Phoenix Suns, the only other team swept, after coming into the season the favorite to win the West. The Cavs struggling with a young Magic team, Dame and Giannis not at full health, eventually upset by the Pacers. And another year, more injuries and early elimination for Joel Embid and the Sixers. And who can forget LeBron James and the Lakers losing in the first round 4-1 versus the Nuggets again. But I don't think there's been a bigger disappointment than the Los Angeles Clippers. To the point, I believe the franchise has to now seriously look at getting what they can for the pieces they have, because at this point, I just don't see this team with these pieces leading to them ever winning it all. This concludes 3 consecutive years of disappointment for the Clippers, missing the playoffs altogether in 2022, losing 4-1 in the first round in 23 to the Suns, and this year losing in 6 to the Dallas Mavericks, while they didn't look at all like a team that wanted it more than their opponent. And yes, you can say, well, they were injured and didn't have time to build chemistry on the court, and it's still James Harden's first season with the team, but that's exactly my point. As constructed going forward, with all the injury history to its franchise players, age, and other teams improving while the Clippers are locked into the 3 or 4 leaders they have, this year wasn't a promising showing. Nothing inspired fans except hope that Kawhi can get at least 1 playoffs in healthy with this team before we can officially say it's over. Sad to say, because I was so on board with the Kawhi to the Clippers with Paul George move back in 2019, but it's over. This team will not be winning a championship at this stage in Kawhi's career with the streaky players they hoard. 3 of their 4 All-Stars consist of guys that at some point in fashion have been an MVP in the league. Russell and James each have 1 regular season MVP award, and Kawhi 2 Finals MVP trophies, his latest one in one of the most respected fashions of all time, defeating the mighty Warriors as the only superstar on the team. A rare feat done by only a few players the last 20 years. Another year, another disappointment. Quite frankly, I'm tired of it and ready to conclude the end of the era for this team. What happened? Let's talk about it. It's your boy JC Stunted Growth. Let's get it, man. Take a minute to like, subscribe, and comment on who I should do next. The 23-24 Clippers arrived at this point from many different avenues. It all started in 2019 when Kawhi Leonard pulled off one of the greatest NBA Finals win in history, defeating the Warriors' Big Four on their way to being a dynasty to win the NBA championship. He became a free agent immediately after, with his choice of team to go to as everyone wanted him at the time. He signs with the Clippers July 10th on contingency they could land Paul George for him to play with. George requested a trade from OKC and it was granted, sending him to the Clippers the same day. Russell Westbrook, coming off 2 disappointing seasons with the Lakers, was traded to the Utah Jazz, both sides engaged in a buyout, sending him to the Clippers February 2nd, 2023 to give the Clippers their very own Big 3. The 4th wheel, James Harden, arrived November 1st, 2023 after requesting a trade from the Sixers and holding out until they found a deal, one that sent him to LA. With 4 guys, future Hall of Famers, and last generation stars and superstars, this was supposed to be a deep playoff run. Instead, it looks like another disappointment going forward for these reasons. Stunt number 1, Kawhi is not the same guy. The first reason I believe the Clippers got to this disappointment is Kawhi Leonard not being who we once knew just a few years ago. Say what you want about him, but he's always been a player that wants to be on the floor. Yes, his body doesn't agree with lengthy NBA seasons, as he's never played all 82 games and at least 70 only twice in 11 years, but I never got the impression he was taking games off simply because he didn't feel like playing. For San Antonio to say he was faking an injury, which Tony Parker and Greg Popovich sideways implied, I see why he left that team. But the fact is, Kawhi is 32, gonna be 33 before the start of next season, and that's an old 33. He's not spry LeBron 33, but a guy that's again never played a full season, who has also had significant injury in his past. Physically, he's just not the same guy. He's been either hurt or inactive altogether the last 3 seasons, and in that time, his team has missed or been eliminated in the first round each time. Kawhi to me is one of the best players in the league, and most of it is because he's one of the best game managers I've ever seen when he has the ball in his hands, and when he gets to his spot, he's almost can't miss. He took over the Sixers series in 2019 and did the same against the Warriors in the finals. That was prime Kawhi. That was also 4 years ago, and he was motivated in a comeback season with a chance to win Toronto their first ever. After he went down with an injury March 2024 and was inactive the rest of the season, I knew the Clippers were cooked without him. He did show heart returning for 2 games against the Mavs, but he just wasn't and isn't the same guy anymore. Stunt number 2, non-championship players. A huge reason I feel the Clippers will always be cooked if Kawhi can't go is because the players on that team that don't have championship winning pedigree, guys with leadership roles on the team. Respectfully, I don't see a team with James Harden on it winning a championship unless he pulls a Gary Payton and just tags along at the end of his career to a team that's obviously winning it all. But with him as one of the leading options with the ball in his hands, no. He's just not serious enough, not competitive enough, and doesn't seem focused enough with all his off-court plans. Very John Wall-esque. When I saw he and Kyrie go after a loose ball in an all-important Game 6 elimination game with his team down 3-2 at Dallas and Kyrie's jersey numbers touched the floor while James Harden barely put a knee down, I knew from that moment. If you look close, it almost looks as if he's smiling and having a good time, tickling Kyrie. He doesn't want it. Everyone does whatever they do for their own reasons and with their own success point in mind. I really feel James Harden's success point was securing the bag and winning individual awards. Once he did those, he checked out. A championship is not the cake for him, but the sprinkles. Then you have Paul George, who seriously, I don't know who gave him the name Playoff P, because he's been underwhelming in the playoffs ever since dunking on LeBron in Indiana. Yes, his numbers slightly go up, but his play when you need him since he's been in LA is either he can't stay healthy or he just can't find the rim or defend to save his season. His demeanor and response to getting his back kicked in is also very telling.
I think the beauty of it is the older I've gotten, the less pressure it's been. If you fail, you fail. Live with the results.
Who says that after losing an important game? He too, I think, has reached his basketball success point like Harden. Russell Westbrook to me is the only one other than Kawhi with some heart of the big 4. But his gifts have slowly become his curse at this point in his career. He's so confident and so athletic that he believes he can still do whatever he wants, but physically he's not the same guy, which exposes his basketball IQ now that the game has slowed down for him. For those reasons, I don't see him winning with the ball in his hand either, but at least he's competitive. With these 3 on the team in leadership roles, they'll never win. Stunt number 3, the West is too good. Lastly, the other teams out west are just too good for the Clippers as currently constructed and are getting better every year. Even with Harden having more time with the team or Westbrook accepting a smaller role, they aren't beating the Nuggets, they aren't better than the young Wolves or Thunder, just lost to the Suns last season in the playoffs, and obviously they can't compete with a healthy Dallas team. The Clippers to me are regular season frauds. All that playing around they get from a guy like Harden, all the injuries to Paul and Kawhi that keeps them inactive, all the clunky awkwardness Westbrook displays late in his career, along with a role player cast not good enough like Zubac, Mann, Powell, who I like, Coffey, PJ Tucker, and a mishandled Bones Highland, this is not a championship level team that can seriously compete in the West. It's that simple. All in all, the Clippers let themselves down being this deep in the hole with the leaders they have for the next few seasons. Then, if they get rid of them, they go straight into rebuild mode once again. This was supposed to be a great season for the Clippers, but for these reasons, their growth was stunted. Salute, much respect. It's your boy JC Stunted Growth. Hit him out.